Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Ending Physician Overwhelm. I am excited to be recording this after our first session of the second round of Unbound Women Physicians Reclaiming Their Lives. You've heard me talk about this program before, but this is my group coaching program exclusively for women physicians where we dive into so many of these topics that we talk about on the podcast here. So it was a fantastic kickoff event. I'm so excited for myself and for the other physicians in the group that we get to really dig in and do some work. If you meant to sign up, if you've been on the fence, if you've still been thinking about it and you have questions, you are free to contact me, especially in real time, as there may be room in the group for you. And if you don't catch us this round, be sure to catch us the next round. All right, let's dive into today's topic. So I want to talk about the reasons why we don't work less. And it may seem obvious, but I bet we haven't thought about it from this perspective before. And so that's why I want to bring it to your attention, because so much of the work that we do when we are trying to change habits, mindsets, thought patterns, all of this good work that we do, we have to have awareness first. And so, again, I want to talk about why it is that we don't work less. Now, there's a few things at play here, and I want you to see where this comes up for you. What happens when you have a random free day? Let's say you were scheduled to do something and that something got canceled. That might be a work thing, might be a family thing, but some situation where you find yourself with a random free day or maybe just a free morning or afternoon, something that you were not expected. What do you end up doing with that white space? If you're like most women physicians that I know, you are probably filling that up with tasks because there are so many things that you are carrying in your load of to-dos that there is a very good chance that you are putting yourself to work during that time, or at least intending to put yourself to work during that time. Now, there might be a fair amount of procrastination that happens. There might be going down a rabbit hole on the internet trying to research the perfect version of XYZ thing that you've been meaning to research and hadn't gotten to yet. But my guess is that for most of us, we don't just look at that as a completely free time and we turn off our phone and we disengage and go out and enjoy the world in some way. Most of us are probably not doing that. Now, that is one little teensy example. We could come up with a million more. What happens when a patient doesn't show up for a planned appointment? My guess, again, is that you don't go and sit with a cup of coffee and contemplate out the window. No, you are doing other things. So, another part of this, right, is that there is no end of the tasks in mind, but also that we have a strong desire to get through our to do list. So, not only is there too much to do on it, but also there is our strong desire to get done because we have fantasies about what will happen when that blessed day occurs, which of course it never will. But I want to talk about what really happens if we are working less, then someone or something is working more or harder. And in preparing for talking about this today, I thought of three main areas where this may come up. So, number one, if you work less, and by less, that might mean lower FTE, it might mean doing less of the tasks that need to be done in the clinical day, in the hospital setting, wherever it is that you work. right? I just mean that you are doing less of the work yourself, or again, a lower FTE. Someone else needs to be doing more. This is a big area that comes up for us, right? And it is part of the insidiousness of the work that we do that sometimes we are asking to work less, right? We are asking to reduce our FTE. We are asking to have more help and support for the things that need to happen to take care of our patients. And we are met with, oh, we can't do that because we don't have someone else to do more. We don't have someone else to cover those shifts. We don't have more nursing staff to be able to offer you and your patients more help. We don't have that. That idea that there is no one else to help becomes pretty entrenched. And I'm guessing if you've worked for a bit of time, just even a little bit of time in that environment where you have asked in some capacity to work less, you have probably been told, nope, you can't work less because there is no one to work more. And when we hear that over and over again, when our requests for help or to lighten our load are met with, nope, we can't do that, there's no one else to step in, we internalize that there is no one else who can help us. And that mindset follows us around into other areas. I know docs who have opened their own practices. They are the boss, they are the owner. They hire employees at some point. They might hire a front desk person, medical assistants, nurses, any variety of different roles. And what happens? They struggle to pass off tasks. They are so socialized and used to doing things themselves because they've heard this message, there's no one else who can do this, over and over and over again. Or also happens, no one who will do it exactly the way that they've like it to be done, they believe it should be done, right? We can get into that perfectionist mindset here too. But docs who have their own staff and still struggle to pass off tasks and are still doing things that don't really make sense anymore for them to be doing because they are stuck in this idea that I can't work less. Or we could reframe that, I can't do more of just my work, quote unquote, right? The work that the physician is intended to do, right? I can't do less of all that other stuff because we've entrenched this idea that there is no one else who can do more, or we are unwilling to face the discomfort of asking somebody to do more, to step up. Sometimes we're unwilling to train people. Sometimes we're unwilling to train and then coach for performance because it takes time for people to learn to do things, when they haven't been doing them before, right? If you bring in someone to help you with scribing, for example, they may have a medical background, they may have worked as an MA, they might be a pre-med student. They may have done work like this before, but if they haven't worked with you and don't know the way your notes need to be done, let's say you're in a different specialty from, the place that they have worked before, they are going to need both training and then coaching for performance. Here's what I liked, here's what I don't like. I'd like you to do XYZ, right? We're going to check and adjust. When we are used to hearing, nope, you can't work less because that means somebody else needs to work more, and there either is no one who can work more or everyone else is very busy too, right? That's another thing that we hear all the time. Again, we internalize that it's not possible for us to work less because of this idea that we will be forcing someone else to work more. We can also think about how this shows up at home, right? If I do less of a chore or a task, whatever that is, I'm going to need someone else to do more. And in this example, I'm going to say that it's someone else who is capable of doing the task, who the task is mutually beneficial to ourselves, right? It's not only something that serves the other person. This could be running errands. It could be doing the laundry, right? It could be any number of tasks. And we often will also fall into the idea that, well, so and so, let's say our spouse also works hard, and how could I ask them to do more, right? We might feel guilty about doing that at home. Or, that yes, we're going to inconvenience someone by asking them to help or hiring outside help. Oh, that sounds like too much, right? This mentality creeps into other places, and we are often very reticent to do less because it requires someone else to do more. Now, the next place where this might show up is a little bit different, and it has to do with if I do less, then something has to do more. So in this instance, we're thinking about some tool, some non-human thing that needs to do more. So this could be, some kind of AI tool. It could be your electronic medical record. It could be some other tool that we could use to help us with our work. Now, it's a little hard to say exactly all the circumstances where this might come in, right? But I think for a lot of us, we learn how to do something with a tool. It might be a very simple tool, but a tool, right? And we may struggle to think that adding some new tool might make it easier. And we might really fight that again because we're like, no, 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 but things are okay right now. I think probably when we look at um, the way surgeries have evolved, right? To be using the surgical robots. We might think about AI tools that are helping to scribe or do other diagnostics. We are hesitant to do less ultimately because we have been trained to think this is the way that things are done. And I don't want to just freely suggest that every time we have a tool, we should use a tool, or that we always abandon things that have been working well, that have been safe and effective tools, right? Because we can all think of examples where new technology has come in and has either not worked well or sometimes caused harm in some way. But the ability to accept that some new tool may be helpful, may streamline, may sometimes be safer or more effective in some way, may help to offload our work to some extent so that we are able to work less. I think this, again, this socialization, this thinking of if I work less, then something or someone has to work more. If we have been reticent to let someone else work more, then we might also struggle with using the tool in that way. I have been using more and more AI tools myself to try and streamline things, to try and make things easier so that they get done. And I will freely share that I'm very novice at this. This is not a skill set that I have. I'm not a super techie person, but the ability sometimes to do something quickly, to be able to get some guidance, get some structure, get some instructions. I've been using some of these AI tools to coach myself, right? To give myself some insights on what I can do better And these tools are very interesting in that way. Now, do they have downsides? Yes, they do. Do they have concern? Yeah, we've got some unanswered questions, right, about AI in particular. But that's true of nearly any technology, right? We have lots of tools and products that come into the operating rooms or come into the bedside that are different from what we used before. And we have to critically evaluate, is this helpful? Is this safe? Is this effective? Does this make things easier or faster in some way? Will I allow myself to consider whether learning to use this tool will ultimately help me to provide safer, more effective care, efficiently, right? But again, if we are stuck in the belief that we can't work less, that this is how hard it should be because we've been socialized to believe that it should be hard in this particular way and that we should push forward and stop complaining, stop whining. This mentality is so toxic and harmful to us. So think about when you've got tools that are accessible to you. Does this help? Will this make my life easier? And consider, yeah, maybe it might. And what if it did? The third area that I can think of where we hesitate to do less is when it comes to asking the recipient of the help or request to do more. Now, this is loaded, and there are a lot of concerns, I would say, about equity that can come up when we talk about this. But I think for many of us, we need to consider whether or not we need to ask the recipients of the help that or the care that we are providing to do more. We all know patients that we have that want you to do everything for them. Well, can you just do this? Can you just do that? Will you just call my insurance? There are a lot of asks that happen to us that are really not super reasonable. And this, extends into the 20 questions that are coming in on a given day, and we ask the patient, well, I would like you to pick a few that are your most important for today. They say, no, like we're just going to do all of them, right? There's a lot of back and forth. We need to engage our patients in participating in their care. And yes, some are better than others in doing this. And yes, again, there are marginalized folks who need more help and support from us. And I'm not talking about pushing back on them. I am talking about pushing back on other areas that are draining you. Let's think about where this comes up at home. Let's think about the people at home or in your life who benefit from you helping them and consequently are doing less work themselves to get their needs met. So these are the kids who are asking you to do things that they are capable of doing because they don't feel like interrupting their video games or their reading or whatever they're doing. This could be a spouse or a partner, right, who is perfectly capable of doing whatever and doesn't. And you find yourself feeling resentful because you would like to do less of the general category of tasks asked, but they're asking you to do more, and to push back on that, they have to step up and do more, and that makes us uncomfortable, right? We can think about friends who contact us and just want an easy fix to their problem. They don't want to hassle with doing X, Y, or Z thing. They just want you to tell them the answer or just quickly send a prescription or whatever the request is. Now, if this happens, and it happens a lot to many of us, and it doesn't bother you, then it's not a problem. But a lot of us are carrying around a lot of resentment because the equation can feel very inequitable on our side, right? We can feel like we pour so much of ourselves into the care and feeding, if you will, of other people, including those folks that are at home, our family and friends, right? Those folks who are our patients, the staff and colleagues that we work with, right? That it can feel really incredibly unfair to constantly be barraged with, questions and demands and requests. One of our recent participants in the group is a dermatologist, and she shared how often she gets texted by friends, with pictures of a rash or, a skin spot, right? Just tell me what this is. Tell me what this is. Tell me what this is. And she would struggle and sometimes say, well, you need an appointment for that. And they would push back and they say, no, no, no. Can you just tell me? I don't have time for that. I don't want to call. I don't want to do this. She really struggled. And I think all of us in the group could feel it. We could feel how hard it was to tell someone in your life that you know, that you presumably care about, no, I'm not going to help you here because you are asking me to work more than I already work, which is already probably an unreasonable amount. I'm going to say no. Asking other people to do more so that we can work less and enjoy our off time is a huge struggle for so many of us. And again, in this instance, thinking about people who are asking their medical friends for help. And I'm just going to say right now, I am totally guilty of this. And I've also, of course, been the recipient of it. It matters when it bothers us. It matters when we are resentful. It matters if it's crossing a line. And only you are the right judge of what those things are. But if you find yourself feeling constantly anxious and tense and overwhelmed and like screaming into your phone when you see another rash texted to you, I'm talking to you here. We need to be able to set limits and boundaries. We need to be able to learn the skill of saying no to others, including others that we care about, including others that we might be close to or want to maintain social connections with. And this is a learnable skill. There are ways to do it that are kind, that are clear, because I'm a big fan of being clear and kind, that set a healthy boundary, saying it's not safe for me to give you treatment in this way. It's not proper medical care for me to be able to do this. And I've decided I can't keep doing this anymore, right? There are ways to communicate to our friends and loved ones that we aren't going to work in that way, and to ask others around us to do more. This is something we're constantly working on in my house of, being the parent of two children who are lovely, smart, and highly capable humans, but don't believe they are when it comes to chores around the house. So I just want to acknowledge that this is an area of growth for probably all of us, but I think it's a really important one because not only is it important that we have protected off time, that we are not constantly go, 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 because human beings need to have an off time, but also when we are so incredibly capable and dedicated and willing to overwork in all the places that we do, we also rob others of the opportunity to learn and grow themselves. I'm going to repeat that when we are constantly doing for other people and just being that highly capable person who always can swoop in and solve the problem, whatever that whatever that problem is, we are robbing other people of the opportunity to be able to learn and grow and figure out how to solve their problems. Now, this might make more sense for talking about young people in our lives, our kids, um, young relatives that we have around us, that sort of thing. But it may also apply to other people who, for various reasons, have just become dependent on your goodwill. And I'm not talking about not taking care of vulnerable individuals, including very young children, including very old folks, or anyone who has a disability that impacts their. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about asking capable others to step up and do more. Again, this is a big area of boundary struggles. And I think in particular, a lot of women physicians already feel incredibly guilty for not being as present in their kids and family lives as they would like to be, especially when they're comparing themselves to other parents who may not work or may not work as much or may not work at a job that is like this job. But we need to recognize the incredibly difficult work that we do, that it has a physical and an emotional toll in a way that not all jobs do. And we need to be able to have our off times. So if you have been stuck in this place where you feel constantly like there's no avenue for you to work less, I want you to think about where in these areas asking other capable people who are sort of in parallel to you, so other staff, other colleagues, right? Other adults who can contribute and serve in the way that you do, right? Asking them to do more so that you can do less. Asking tools, can we incorporate more tools in some way that provides better care that allows us to work less in some capacity? And then can we ask the people who benefit from our help and care and attention to do more? Can we ask them to take the responsibility of seeking their own medical care? Can we ask them to take the responsibility of taking care of their own laundry and dishes and all those fun things at home, right? Can we ask people to contribute more to take some of the load off? Now, taking some of the load off helps, but it is important that we don't replace the load with more work. We don't say, oh, great, now I can finally tackle some new project. We need to build in some self-time. That might be unassigned rest. It might be exercise, right? It might be more time with friends and family that's spent in an intentional way, right? It might be cultivating a new hobby. It might be taking time to cook your own food that feels healthy and nourishing, right? We want to be intentional about the time that we get from working less and not just fill it with more busy work, especially more busy work that someone else could be doing, or maybe that doesn't need to get done. That is a slippery slope for a lot of people. When you find a way to work less, when you break through some of these barriers that you've been facing, it is important to put in good non-work, restful time so that you can have more of the life that you've been looking for. My friends, thank you as always for tuning in this week. As I mentioned, if you are listening to this episode as it comes out in early March, if you have been wanting to be a part of a community of women physicians who is doing this work together in community with structure and accountability, that sounds so unsexy, but really, we are smart people. We can appreciate the things that we want to do, and yet we still may struggle with actually doing them. I help people connect the dots. I help people to build some accountability skills to be able to put the things into place that they want so that they can work less, so that they can enjoy their time more. If you've been looking for that and you want to be part of a community doing this work together, reach out to me and let's talk about Unbound. The doors have just started to close, but we may still have a spot for you. You can reach out to me at megan@healthierforgood.com. You will find that in the show notes. I'd be happy to hear from you. If you've missed the window for joining this round of Unbound, I got you. We'll be back open again in early June, or you can reach out to me for some one-on-one coaching. Love to support you in this work. All right, my friends, that's all I've got for you for today. Thank you as always for listening. Until next week, take care.